other side, right? So thankfully, some people have left the lunch and come. It was the wrong time to give me a session. There's all lunch around. I hope some of you will take whatever we speak today out and. So can we put the presentation up? Yeah, can it go on the screen? I put it on. Okay, right. Hi. My name is Pranab Punj. I am the strategic advisor for Asia Pacific region for Xsolla. And I specifically look at India as a region, India and South Asia, for growth. I have my colleague here, if some of you were in the session, John Park, who works with me on the India market. Xsolla, as you all know, is a video games commerce company, a global video games commerce company. And I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But just before that, setting some context on what my session is going to be about and who am I. About me first, I have spent over 2 decades in the gaming industry, in India specifically, starting with bringing in India's first MMORPG called Ragnarok Online to India back in 2004. Then working on the first Indian homegrown gaming brand, Zapac. Some of you must have tried it out, played games on Zapac.com. And then I've done a bunch of other things in this space, especially on the B2C side of the business. My session today is going to focus on 3 words, which are actually at the start of or 4 words at the start of my presentation, which is put your players first. I think this is very important. All of you, and I'm hoping everybody in the room here are developers and people who will maybe see this session after the session is done or on live broadcast. It is very important to have your players at the center of your business. And there, the tools that I'm going to talk about from the Xsolla ecosystem is going to help you actually let your players be at the center of your universe, right? So we're going to talk about how you can boost your revenue and engagement with Xsolla's Webshop solution. Before I go ahead, first some background on Xsolla. Xsolla is, as I said, a global video games commerce giant. It has an experience of over 19 years in this business. So it's a company that has spent almost 2 decades driving video games commerce across the world. We have offices all across the world. We are headquartered in the US, in LA, and we have over 800 plus employees. But I think the most important thing is what are the 4 pillars of Xsolla, and then the 4 pillars are at the bottom, right? And what does Xsolla do for the developer ecosystem? The first is we help you sell directly to more users. As game developers, the biggest lacuna that I see, at least at this moment in our side of the world, because Xsolla has been able to change the ecosystem globally, but in India we've just kind of started working with developers, and we speak to one such developer partner here. Most of you as developers are not selling directly to your users. You are selling through an intermediary, right? And that's where there are 2 things that happen. One, you lose money because you're giving fee to the intermediary, and that fee is fairly high, right? It ranges from 15 to 30%. The second is you are looking at a virtual black box when you look at your user, because the data that you get from the distribution platform that you're on, app stores or Play stores or whatever, right, is fairly limited, doesn't give you full understanding of your user behavior. What Xsolla does is helps you break that barrier and go direct to your consumer. Second is increasing payment reach and conversion. This automatically happens because Xsolla's backbone on which all our direct-to-consumer products are built is our payment aggregation platform called PayStation. We are the single largest payment platform in the world for games, and I'll speak about that in a moment too. We also help you better manage your user behavior data. So this, again, I was talking about the black box phenomena in the start. When you run your own web shop, you get proprietary data. So we'll speak about that as well. Or any other Xsolla direct-to-consumer solution that you use, be it a launcher, be it a game sales solution to launch a shop to sell your keys, your game keys. Everywhere, you are then getting proprietary data that you are picking up. It's your data, right? And even Xsolla doesn't touch it. Because you're running it your own website. We'll again talk about that in a moment. And eventually, all this helps, helps generate more revenue for you. And we'll talk about that, some important slides coming. So if you have some colleagues who need to hear this, please call them earlier, right? Because there will be some data slides coming. And I was at a session yesterday. People were asking me about the impact points of what direct-to-consumer does to game developers. That will come in a moment. But the one way we generate more revenues is we charge just 5%, right? 95% of that revenue is with you, right? So Xsolla's fee is much, much lesser than any other platform that you distribute through. We're a global company. We work with global clients from across the world. All the top companies that you can think of in the gaming space are working with Xsolla, going direct to consumer with Xsolla, right? This is a facet that even I was not aware of. And I'm speaking on behalf of the Indian gaming community, right? I was on the board of a few companies. I'm an investor in a few companies. And I'll confess that a year and a half back, even I wasn't aware of this phenomenon. So if you're sitting in this room wondering, oh, you know what, I didn't know this, that all these top gaming companies have direct-to-consumer kind of products, web shops, right? Then even I didn't know this. But again, this is a discovery person. That's exactly why I'm here. I'm here to tell you, your friends, your teams, and to help you empower with the powerful products that Xsolla has, and especially web shops. I want to give a little bit of context, right? This is a phenomena that all Indians know very well, actually, right? As it is. We all do UPI payments, right? So this is the start of that context setting. You see, globally, e-payments markets are expanding. They're projecting great growth, right? So numbers are here. You can take screen pictures if you want. But if you see India, we are the global leader. I was speaking just yesterday to our co-panelists, right? And I was hearing that UPI is going global. I was with one of our payment partners, India's top payment partners, and I got to know that UPI is in Singapore now, UPI is in Dubai now, right? UPI is setting standards for digital payments. And today, all of us know that even the smallest merchant in India is using UPI, right? You're paying through UPI. You're doing microtransactions through UPI. And the reason I'm telling all of this story is that I find it, let me just finish this slide. And then I was jumping a little bit. Now look at the Indian gaming scenario, right? Amazing numbers, 1.2 billion mobile subscribers, 568 million game developers, gamers in India, top Indian students, top Indian studios, all of you focus on mobile game development. The reason I'm putting this here is, this is the question that actually I faced when I first kind of took up the Xsolla responsibility. And I looked at it and said, okay, this is the market. We have everything that is required for us to be successful. We have users, we have a great digital payment ecosystem, right? We have data availability, right? We have users who are paying and doing microtransactions, right? At a great click. But then, why is the Indian video games market, right? And I'm talking about specifically video games, right? Not the scale-based, real money segment, which is, I think, a great growth story as well. But just the video game space, why is it so small still? Why aren't Indian gamers paying for Indian games, right? And why aren't there billion-dollar companies domestically there? And I think that story, comes from these market challenges, right? The challenges of acquisition, monetization, revenue. All of you face it here as developers. I see and hear those questions every day. Effective monetization. How do you increase your number of paying users? How do you keep more of the revenue? Simple question like that itself is a very difficult one to manage. All these questions have caused at least two of my companies go down and shut down, gaming ones, right? Exact three problems. There was never a story where we could be profitable in 10 years, 20 years. We were always running on VC money and then kept, burning money because we were paying 30% on the platform fee, then we were paying the same platform for advertising, so we were paying that, right? And so we're just kind of losing money all the time. And that's why I come to this slide. It's no longer a question of whether a mobile game needs a web shop. It's just, it has to be there. And I'm saying this on behalf of the Indian community, right? We are a web, mobile first market. All of us are mostly mobile game developers here. This is a must have. It should be a part of your strategy as you are building your mobile game, right? There's no extra cost to it. All the tools are available to you free, right? Including collecting money, doing payments on your behalf, paying your taxes. All of that is done by, Xsolla in this case. So why should you not do this? At this point, I want to talk about Webshop and what Webshop is. Webshop is basically an extension of your mobile game. It's your own website on which you are not only selling in-app purchases or selling in-app items or virtual currency to your gamer or user, it's also your destination to communicate and interact with your gamer, being connected to them directly. I want to show one quick video at this point, and then I'll talk about something else. Yeah, please do up the video. The video. Go full screen. We can switch back to the screen. And so, I don't know if you guys caught it, but one thing which is most important to catch is this. This is real. This is not projected data. This is not what could happen if you do something. This is the amount of revenue that Xsolla web shops have driven for game developers across the world in the last 1 year. Right? I'll show you more slides, specific going use case by use case. And that's why it is for us, upon us as Indian game development community to look at this opportunity and say we need to go after it. We need to take advantage of what Xsolla is offering to Webshop. Here is a philosophy, and this comes directly from our founder, right? Which is, to succeed, you need to shift the paradigm, right? You have to always, shift the paradigm. If you go according to the norms and structures, you may not succeed, right? And I can speak for Xsolla definitely, that in Xsolla I see that DNA of shifting that paradigm and sticking to our overall philosophy of saying equal access for everyone. That's what our founder's vision is, and that's what he's done for all the developers globally. But the most important thing is, from a strategy point of view, you should think of game is where I play, web is where I pay, right? And that's so that the user starts understanding that it should be like e-commerce, right? Like if you see the Shopify ecosystem, what it does is, as a merchant, your user should be able to know that I can pay on your own website. I don't need to go to an XYZ e-commerce portal or a marketplace to buy. your product. You can have it because all the tools available are available to build that. So we're kind of giving you that opportunity to do exactly that. There is also, some understanding that by doing a web shop, you kind of create two things. One is value and repeatability. And this will then create a habit. These are three kind of moot points, but the specific thing is, if a user sees repeated, fresh value coming to them at regular intervals, right? And I'll speak about live ops. I'm going to jump a few things, but when you run your web shop, you're almost like, running live ops of your game, right? You're being able to throw offers at them. You're being able to throw, great bundles at them. You're doing. I'll show an example. Again, I don't want to jump in, but I'll show you a live example of a fellow developer friend of yours doing that as we did, right? Like, I think Halloween is over. I don't know if the Halloween offer is around, but we'll see, right? They're doing that on their web shop. They're being able to interact with the user a lot better. You're not reaching out to some other intermediary and asking them permission to do some campaign or launch a new item on your platform. You're being able to do that yourself. And then Xsolla's tools help you build a great web shop. An evergreen web shop is a great start to getting incremental revenue. This I don't think so. I need to kind of put in words beyond what is already written here. You have a web shop, you're bringing in new fresher items, you're bringing in new offers, you're bringing in new in-app purchases. You are always, bringing in new incremental revenues, right? Some data on, and so this is an interesting way to kind of put it up, right? Right now you see with great offers, you get great incremental revenues. We see around 10% revenue growth by just kind of doing this action, right? When you bring in live ops on top of it, right, then you're building loyalty, you are enhancing more monetization. So your capture rate is going up by 50% average. Revenue growth has gone to 15% plus, right? Live ops also plays a critical role in driving web shop success, as I said, right? What we see, and these are our numbers, about 2x paying users by just doing kind of stuff like welcome offers. Very simple thing, right? I was going through a web shop workshop with one of our partners who's here, and then, we spoke about just a welcome offer, just a simple thing like if somebody is landing up on a user is landing up on your web shop and just a one offer. See the kind of incremental revenue that's driven. One thing to understand, why does this happen? Why are these phenomenal numbers happening on a web shop? It is because you all have to recognize that a user comes to play a game. A user does not come to a platform. Their loyalty is towards your game, towards your brand. And it goes back to, to brand loyalty, right? So when you as a brand offer them direct offers, you interact with them, you let them transact on your own platform, then the believability is much higher, right? So the transaction happens much better. A multi-page web portal for seamless user journey. These are new enhancements to the web shop. We keep enhancing the web shop product much more. Now you can actually build a multi-page web portal. You can have like multiple pages, interaction points, and then this kind of helps you engage more deeply, more richly with your game user, because now they're just not landing for a transaction, they're landing into interact with your game, interact with your product. Again, I'll show you by live example of how it looks like. A well-built web shop obviously protects and multiplies your game revenue. As I keep throwing numbers at you, these are real numbers coming in from our research, our data that we see on our web shop players. And at that point, I'll queue in. Well, I was waiting for this, right? I'm a stickler for real live cases, right? So no theory, practicality works the best. I'll speak about the first web shop from India that came from amongst you, which is from Godspeed Games from Pune. And this is an amazing story, right? And at that point, I would like to invite Ranveer on stage. Ranveer is the co-founder of Godspeed Games. So Ranveer, please join me as we speak about your experience. So, um, with Ranveer and Rohan, when I kind of took over, they already had an exposure to our web shop tool in a manner that they had seen the power of web shops for the international partners that we're working with. I let Ranveer speak about it themselves. But the product that they've created is amazing, and that's why I'm saying that usually we've seen web shops tool being used by our top developers from across the world to launch one web shop for one game. What Godspeed did is created their own gaming hub using the web shop tool, right? And they have a multi-game web shop, so I'll let Ranveer talk about it, and then Ranveer, I'll have a few questions thrown at you. And while Ranveer and I are talking, can you queue up the Spellwagon web shop?
Thank you, Pranab, for that. It's good to see that we are here already, and it's kind of something that we feel the other studios should also get motivated in doing. Like Pranab mentioned, that we had some past experiences with Xsolla when we did a live ops as a project for one of our clients, and we saw the kind of momentum that they used to create from Xsolla's presence, right, and the web shop presence. So that kind of motivated us to, when we started doing our own games, that kind of motivated us to look at this solution and maybe work it out for our own benefit as well. And that's why we kind of started this partnership with Xsolla. And some of the benefits with which Pranab has already mentioned, right? And the most important bit that we time and again say is the two, like he said, four pillars. But I'm more of a monetary guy, so I would say that that the direct to player sales is very important part for us. And the other thing that you have, like you as a developer, you create most of the revenue share with you, and then share very partial or very small chunk with the provider here, which kind of benefits us in the long term in terms of revenue generation. But I think what kind of pushed us to Xsolla is the control that we have on our own products, because here we are creating our own web shop, our own kind of interface, which kind of shows our game, shows our feel of what we have created to our players, right? And they can see or interact. It's not like they're going out of the play right now, but they're actually in the play here as well, because they are seeing what we are selling here or what we are providing here is kind of similar to what they are getting in store, but it's something over that. And this has kind of boosted us in a way of engagement with our players. And it's all about, we say it aloud a lot, and I've been telling this to a lot of Indian studios as well. It's about building a community, right? And if you can serve your community in a better way, I think this is the approach which has helped us to do that. And we are actually looking forward to them, because like Pranab mentioned, like there's continuous upgrades happening even for our ecosystem, right? So we are continuously looking ahead for upgrading us as well, and with their assistance as well. I can go on and on for a long time, because
you already answered three questions, but thank you so much. No,
yeah.
Ravi, I want to, and just for the benefit of the crowd, and please understand that this interaction is more about really understanding the developer's perspective. So as we speak, Ranveer and I think the web shop launched a couple of months back. Today, I'm happy to kind of share with whoever is there in the crowd or is listening that the top 10 developers in the country, at least top 5 of them have a web shop, right? And they've kind of launched,
yes,
right? So partly to your contribution as well, because I think this speaks to the community. But the biggest thing is, every developer is struggling with the same question that you have, Ranveer, and that brings me to this whole point that how has having a web shop impacted your player engagement or revenue growth? What has it done to your business, right? Like in the sense, at least it's a short time, but what have you seen? And maybe you can also tell the community here about your vision about your web shop, because that's a very interesting vision.
Sure. I think like you mentioned, it's not really a long time that we have started doing this, but right now we already have 2 games which are live on Webshop. We have Battle Agents on Webshop already. We have Smashing 4 as well, which we have recently moved on to Webshop. And with our plans, we probably have more IPs coming up. We're gonna soon integrate those IPs as well with the Webshop. And what we have seen is, like I said, it gives us the control over what we are serving to our players, right? And we see that we are more flexible in providing them what they want to buy or what they want to purchase, or what players are doing in the game. Based on that data, we are able to personalize those experiences for the players now, and that's what has added in a continuous player engagement as well. And you mentioned about repeat purchases as well, and we are seeing those differences because players are now and kind of engaging on our platform more. We can see some repeat purchases happening as well. So we see that there's a growth in that aspect, and the kind of I think there are more loyalty programs and other stuff as well, which is kind of being promoted nowadays. So it kind of helps us overall in a way of building that community all together and then serving them in a better way. Of course, we are seeing some percent of revenue growth as well, right? So, but I'm still in the early stages. But I think the way it is going up, the graph is going up high. So we are pretty positive that we're going to see some better numbers with all our upcoming games as well. But like if you ask me about putting it just in terms of the numbers, I think it's about almost around 30% repeat, customers that we repeat purchases happening nowadays through the web shop. And our revenue as well, if you ask me, with those purchases and with the kind of customized options we are able to sell, we see around, let's say, around 15 to 20% of growth in terms of the revenue side as well in that front.
Thanks, Ranvi. I think you've been very kind to share your perspective. But thank you so much for joining me here.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Appreciate. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. So Ranveer is going to be around, so you guys can obviously have all other questions, candid questions asked to him if you want. But I'll go quickly further and I'll show you some data now. And this is what is going to be important. This is global data coming from real use cases of running web shops. It's a kid's game. Look at forget all other numbers. Just look at the web shop revenue, right? That's real revenue. I saw the number first time. I fell off the chair. I was wondering if this is right? And this is just their web shop revenue. Just to give you a use case here, I was seeing some new data that was coming in, and that one of the top developers, mobile developers in the world, 50% of their revenue is coming through their own web shops, which means this is not just revenue coming in, they're keeping most of the profits, right? Forex strategy game, look at the web shop revenue. And at this point, I'd also like you to start looking at capture rate. Capture rate is how many people land up on a web shop, how many people transact. Look at that, 50%, more than 50% people do that. Look at the ARPPU, so all parameters that are there for user transaction are all in very healthy form or super healthy form, right? Like boosted. And it's a simple thing. Why is this happening? Because it's your game, it's your game's user. They're playing your game, right? You are being direct to them. And, I used to run a media company before this, multimedia company. We used to do movies and series and so on and so forth. And we realized there, the connection, when you produce a movie, you're the producer of the movie. You're in control, right? You decide where it wants to be, and it has to be in multiple places. It will be on a TV channel, it will be on a theater, it will go to a streaming platform. You'll do whatever you want. As a game developer, why don't you do that? Why are you just restricted to one platform, then going through that platform's payment method, right? Why aren't you opening up to the whole world? And when you open it up, your user reacts in a very positive way to it. At this point, this is more about what a web shop eventually does, right? And it does four things. It gives you personalization, it gives you direct connection to your user, long-term interaction. You're building a very long relationship. I'll correlate this to a use case from the MMORPG ecosystem, right? The massively multiplayer role-playing games. I did them in my initial phases of my career. And I keep seeing those games still alive and being very well. Look at World of Warcraft, still alive. You know why? One of those initial understanding that I have is the close relationship between the user and the game. The user was always going to the game and paying, right? not going to some store, going and then connecting to that store and then paying. They were always interacting. And that is just not about paying, that is also about being it. I had another developer talking to me about customer service, right? When the user interacts with your game and they transact on your web shop, they can outreach to you directly about their problems. You know, I paid this much, I didn't like it, I want this, right? You are getting connected with your user, and that's where you're really building businesses or a long-term interaction and a continuous growth, right? Like not like coming in spurts and going off. This is just a slide to show you the kind of work that we have already done in the web shop space. We have 400 plus live web shops across the world. Most of the top mobile gaming companies are running web shops through us and with us. And yeah, this one is a little bit of a, sorry. Okay. This one is a little bit of a chest thumping slide, but yes, this is the number one solution for to incentivize players, right? And I'm very confident of this solution. I'm very confident that this is going to create a breakthrough moment for mobile gaming ecosystem in India. Yeah, that ends my presentation, and I'm open to any questions that you may have. The last slide talks about me. The QR code connects you to my LinkedIn profile, and I have 5 minutes to go. I've wrapped up faster. If you have any questions, happy to answer. Yeah. You want this?
Hello? Hello? Yeah. So in your client page, there was a Steam logo there. So is Steam your client and how?
Yes, like Teamworks. Yeah, they're a partner. Yes.
Okay. So what about the...
All the logos there, they are partners.
No, I was just confused, like there was companies, gaming companies, and Steam was there.
Yes. So we are the page that you are speaking about is our global partners page, right? That's not just restricted to the web shop. The last page that I showed you are partners who run web shops to us. But we work with Steam, we work with Unreal Engine, we work with Epic Games, we work with Unity. Yes. So we are creating equal access for everyone.
What about reach to the web shop?
Sorry?
Like web shop is like where my game will be listed on my page, right? Not on Play Store or iTunes Store, any store. How user will reach there?
So Webshop first is a place where your user or your community will come to transact with your game or buy the in-app purchases or virtual items of your game. Will come to see leaderboards. Will kind of interact with the community. Sorry, installation is through the stores. So it's not a side loading. It's not a tool to side load your game. It's not a tool to do that.
Google and Apple, I think, doesn't allow
within the stipulated rules and regulations of Google and Apple.
It is allowed.
Yes. Surprising. So meet me and we'll explain that properly. It is all allowed. Yeah. So just to answer your question, it is allowed for you to be direct to consumer. It is not saying it is allowed to.
No, in-app purchase is mostly not allowed from website.
No, there are rules and regulations, but there are. So just to give you one example, while I'm standing here, as Ranveer was talking about, the one unique thing, right? And can you queue up the Pokemon Go excuse me. Can you queue up the Pokemon Go web shop? I'll just show you one of the world's largest games, right? So that's the web shop, and that will tell you what happens, right? So you must have played Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go's web shop is run on our web shop technology, and exactly like Ranveer's web shop's running, if you go scroll down this, you see these virtual items being sold there, correct? So one rule, and again, this is one rule of many. One rule is you can't sell the same in-app purchase or same in-app item on Google Play and on your web shop, right? So you have to create something unique. but it's your game, so you can create unique offers, unique in-app purchases, right? So there are rules to restrict you, but by law, they can't. Nobody can, right? Because it's your content. That's what I was talking about, right? Okay.
I will be more
Yeah,
interested.
we'll do a sidebar and I'll answer all your questions. Any other questions? Are we done? All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thanks who attended. Appreciate it.